It's one of the oldest trades known to man, and almost everybody has an opinion on it. It's prostitution, more informally known as sex working. But what do you think about it? We're talking about the topic and the support assistance that is offered. So far we've spoken to somebody who helps patrol the issue, a lady who's been part of the issue, and another who helps combat it. SWAN has been around since 2003. It stands for Sex Workers Around Northampton. What type of dangers are involved in this line of work?
Risk of violence, risk of sexual assault and rape from men who purport to be clients.
He's the representative of the Springborough's Residents Association, where in the past prostitution has been known to occur.
People were feeling they didn't want to go out at night and come around the area for fear of being approached by the women. Some people felt threatened by people like pimps or people who are hanging around in doorways watching out for the girls. A few people were actually physically threatened by the working girls to trying to get access to stairwells and blocks of flats.
I think they're a very vulnerable group. They're out on their own very late at night in often secluded environments, and they therefore can be a target for sex offenders and violent individuals.
For 2 months I slept on the streets. One night I got beaten up by some drunken girls. I was taken to the hospital and discharged with broken ribs. Nobody wanted to know.
So for somebody to come along and say, "This is my life, I'd like to change it," what do you suggest to them?
I think often it's about looking at what are the reasons that they're sex working. If they're sex working because they've got a drug addiction, then obviously we'd look at supporting them to get into drug treatment. That would mean that they don't need to use the same level of drugs. That would mean they don't need to fund the same level of drugs. That would mean that they don't need to work as often. If they're not on benefits, then obviously we'd look at getting them into benefits in the short term, so that again is bringing in income that they don't then have to fund through sex working, to ensure that they're in safe housing and have a safe roof over their head that supports them not to drug use, not to offend, not to go back out in the streets.
Inspiration FM got in touch with an ex-sex worker of Northampton. Her voice has been re-recorded to protect her identity.
I managed to get in touch with my old escort friend who had since moved back to her mother's, and she lent me some money for a deposit on another flat. Within days I was back earning from the escorting and relying heavily on drugs.
That whole kind of cycle really of looking at what the impacting factors are and trying to reduce them, but it's often a really long-term kind of piece of work. People's lives don't change overnight or dramatically, and it takes a long time for women to move out.
I had no support from my family whatsoever. I didn't know what to do. I had no friends. I had a very lonely life. I never had any money because of the drugs. It really was a really bad existence.
What response have you received from clients about the centre?
I think we have very positive response from our client groups. We try to collect feedback from clients about how the service is. We try to take suggestions as to how the service could run better. And actually I think for many of our clients over the years we have been a lifeline in terms of being somewhere safe and secure that they can trust to come to and have their problems dealt with.
Well, really, it's been a long slog over probably the last 10 years, and it's been a really prime example of how partnership working is successful in the long run. Police have been fantastic all down the line, and also other partners like Swan and Can, and a lot of people all working together. As I say, it's been a long road, but we've got there in the end.
And does the centre offer counselling?
Obviously my staff work with clients and will do kind of low-level counselling, and they'll use low-level counselling basic skills. We don't offer counselling as a therapy here, but we would look to link them into services like CAN.
I didn't think much of myself. I felt worthless. When I was escorting, I found myself acting up on the job. I went into roleplay a lot of the times. I had drug dealers as friends. I didn't have nice friends. They took advantage of me, basically just for my money. Sometimes I'd sleep rough. One night I slept in a shop doorway. One night I slept on the steps of the Guildhall. And all I kept thinking was, one day I would be different. Maybe one day I'd walk down those steps of the Guildhall.
And that concludes part 2, covering the risks involved, the help that is to offer, and a collection of personal circumstances. Stay tuned for part 3.